This is going to be one of the biggest years of my life, but I'm here for it. I've prepared the best that I possibly can to put myself in the best position this year. Trust me when I say this. The time is now.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Time Is Now. We are back in with another sit down. We're back in the office. We're back home, finally. We've been back now for about a week, I believe. So you'll start to see, and you've probably already seen, a few videos of being back home now. So I'm really excited to be back, and I'm excited to kind of bring you some more sit-down content, because I know that some of you really enjoy it. So this is how to truly get shredded. We're not talking about lean. We're not talking about, yeah, he looks good over there. We're talking about, how has this guy got so lean that I cannot believe it? That's the kind of lean that we're going to talk about here. And now, before the guys who maybe have not seen my channel before or seen my physique before, I'm going to just put some physique photos up on the screen right now so that you can. This is my credentials. I've been shredded. I can get absolutely shredded to the point where my glutes are walnuts, and I'm hoping that these photos are proving that. And the physique photos of this morning as well. We're getting close to being that kind of shredded now. We've got a couple more weeks to dig, but I feel like I've got some experience in getting that lean. I've been competing for about 8 to 10 years, which is a long time now. So I feel like I've got the credentials to be able to tell you how to truly get shredded. My first point is probably going to be the most important point. It's going to be time. You're going to hear this time and time again, ironically. Give yourself enough time for you. For you. You cannot judge your prep off me. You cannot say Josh did 16 weeks, therefore I need to do 16 weeks, because I've got a certain amount of muscle mass, metabolism, drugs, height, weight, age, training age, all these different things come into your equation to answer that question. I know natural bodybuilders who have done 6-month preps. I know natural bodybuilders who have done 8 months prep, and they've needed those 8 months in order for you to get that lean, because it is next level lean. So the first point is going to be time. Give yourself enough time. If you don't know how much time that is, err on longer. Definitely give yourself more time. Add a month, add 2 months. If you get lean too early, that's a good thing, because you can just ease off everything and kind of come back into it gradually. My next tip is going to be, do your due diligence in the off season to put yourself in the position to prep when you're ready to prep. Now that means a few things. That means don't get too fat. If you just consistently bulk all the way until your cut, odds are you might have a lot of body fat to lose. For me, I bulked really hard. I then did a mini cut for about 12 weeks. I then pushed back up for 12 weeks. But that second push up was not as harsh, because we were very focused on not just adding body fat, because body fat has to come off. So don't get too fat. The second point under that same heading is going to be, make sure you're eating enough. You have to make sure you're eating enough. If you're eating 3,000 calories in your peak off season, you are not ready to cut, unless you're a girl or 60 kilos, 70 kilos and you're a girl. That is the only way I can see 3,000 calories being enough for you to go into a deficit. There are acute phases and acute reasons for you to go into a deficit at 3,000 calories, but not for a competition prep. And this is about a competition prep. So get your calories up as high as possible. But remember, we don't want to get too fat, right? So you want to be able to just gradually bring them up as high as possible. For me, I ended up on about 4,500 calories right at the end of my off season. But take it back 6 months and I was on about 5,500 when we were pushing it a little bit harder. So make sure your food is in a very good place so that you have room to take off and you've got room to maneuver. Don't be doing your cardio, don't be doing loads of steps, because these are all variables and tools in your toolkit that we need in order to progress your physique consistently down the line. So don't get too fat, make sure you're eating enough food, and finally make sure you've got enough muscle. It's very difficult to know how much muscle that you need in order for you to prep, but the less muscle you have, the harder it's going to be to get lean. For me, because I've been doing this for 10 years and obviously been using anabolics and whatnot, when I drop 4 or 5 kilos, you can really see it because I've got a lot of muscle mass and not loads of body fat. But if you are a smaller person, maybe you're between 70 and 80 kilos and you start to lose 4 or 5 kilos, it's going to be much harder to visually see that difference. So you're either going to have to dig, which is going to be hard, or in my opinion, take a step back, go back and build some more muscle. But again, I can't put you need this much muscle on it. So I would just say spend as long as you can building muscle before you enter a competition prep. The next tip to be getting shredded is going to be make consistent changes. Don't be too complacent. I think we're very much in this day and age, and I've received this as I've gone through my process. People have gone, why are you doing so much cardio so early? Why are you making so many changes why are you making so many changes to your drugs? Why are you making so many changes to thermogenics? Why are you making so many changes to bringing your food down? We are adaptation machines. Your body is designed to adapt to the environment that you're in. If you begin to eat loads and loads of food for a very long time, your body adjusts to that. Very similarly, as we come down, the body adjusts to that. So you need to be making consistent changes. Now, for me, because I'm using drugs, the drugs count as a change sometimes, right? So maybe I don't, for example, for now, I haven't changed my food for the last 10 days. It's been 3,000 calories, but we've bumped up drugs, which will build my metabolism up. So those progressions are consistently happening at least once a week, I would say, not in drugs, but changes. So either my cardio changes, my food changes, my steps change, my drugs change. And that's something that you guys need to consider. I don't think you need to do it every week. If you yield the result that you want, then you are fine to keep going on that amount of variables that you're doing. But if you are behind, if your rate of loss starts to slow, if your rate of loss stops, you need to be making consistent changes. We are adaptation machines, consistently change forward. Don't be afraid. Final tip here, probably for my natural guys a little bit more, and potentially some of my assisted users, but don't be afraid to diet break.
You feel that?
If you're doing a very long cut and you've got a lot of body fat to lose, don't be afraid to break it up. Do a 10 to 16 week cut, take 2 to 3 weeks off just at maintenance, and then you can go back down. I know a lot of successful bodybuilders that do this. AJ Morris, Revive Stronger, 2 natural guys who really kill that type of process. They may not do it now, but I've seen them do it in the past. So those are my top tips. Like you got to consider the training effort has to be there, cardio effort has to be there. Make sure your steps are there. Steps are a really good point to bring in. It's something that's kind of come to the forefront of the industry probably in the last 2 to 3 years. Steps. What is that? Count your steps. Every phone, every Apple Watch counts your steps now. And the reason why we would count your steps is because it's a basic output per day. As you get leaner, as you get more fatigued, as stress starts to rise, every cell in your body is going to want to sit down more. Every cell in your body is going to want to eat more. But if we can keep to this minimum amount of steps, this minimum intensity of cardio, which we use our heart rate to go off, this minimum intensity for training, you're going to put yourself in a very successful position to continually progress the whole way through. So just to summarize, give yourself enough time, don't get too fat, work your bollocks off, make consistent changes, make sure your protein's right, make sure your nutrition's right. All these things we talk about in every full day of eating, every tip video, every performance video where we talk about, directing your nutrition for performance. All of these tips now need to come into place in order for you to get truly shredded. If you feel like you're lean, you're not, keep going. And I think just to summarize it, and then I'm going to tag on something for my drug users. Just to summarize it, if you need a second eye, don't be afraid to ask for it. Not necessarily from me or anyone, but get a coach, get someone who's been, coached a lot of people or transformed a lot of people or done it themselves a lot of times. Don't be afraid to get that second opinion, because quite often you might feel super lean, but they might be able to find a few spots that you're not. Or you might feel super fat and you might feel like you're behind, but they can give you a realistic view, because prep brain is real. Those decisions, they do get blurred sometimes. Now, just to summarize for my anabolic users, because I know that there's going to be some of you guys that are watching, Don't throw all your tools at yourself from day one. Start low and build up. Don't be using Anavar from the start. Don't be using your maximum testosterone dose. Don't use Tren from the start. Don't use Mastron and all these things from the start. Instead, start with a baseline. You know, whether that's Test and Primo or Test and another base, it doesn't make a difference. But you've got to taper up, in my opinion. I wouldn't start at full blast, because if you start at full blast, the wheels are going to fall off quicker, but also you've got nowhere to progress. And like we said with these progressions with drugs, you know, you bump 50 milligrams of testosterone every 3 to 4 weeks or so. You know, you're going to get flat from the diet, bump up from the test. Get flat from the diet, bump up from the test. But not only that, but every bump up in anabolics is a bump up in metabolism as well. So to our anabolic users, don't throw the kitchen sink at it. Start with the minimal and work up to the maximum that you're willing to do over time, obviously, as you get closer to those shows. So that is how to truly get shredded. There are probably some points I missed out. If you've got any, comment down below. I'll pin some of the top comments that can really help people get shredded. But most importantly, I think you just need to dig the fuck in, and you need to get into it, and you need to just keep going, because it's going to be hard. It's going to be extremely hard, and it's going to get harder and harder, and you're going to feel like you want to stop, but that's when you know you're doing it right. So keep pushing. If there's anything I can ever do for any of you guys, just drop me a DM, drop a comment, and we'll make sure we can give you the best advice that we can on this channel. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We'll be back very soon. We are getting closer. We're on the back end of the season now, or the back end of the first competition now. We are 7 weeks out. Let's keep working, fam. One more rep. We'll see you soon. Peace.